Welcome to the beach in White Rock, where I live about 5 minutes away. About 10 minutes away walking. And I like to spend my summers here. But I was thinking not too long ago about inventing the HiTrainer and how that happened, and the miracle that it was. It truly was. There's so many things that came together. People who brought something to it that was missing. It was truly a miraculous thing when you think of it, and I think it has huge value, and still does. Certainly the concepts, but at the time I had Xcalibur Gym in Sutton, and I'd opened it probably about 6 months before, and I was training this young gentleman who had aspirations of playing college football, and so he wanted me to work with him. But he was wasn't very coordinated, and it certainly wasn't a natural athlete. But I worked with him, and he saw some improvements. But he labored when it came to running. He labored quite a bit. So I just finished training him, and I was walking from the studio back across to my desk, and one of the treadmills I just brought, a Precor, was broken. Like 3-4 months after I opened the gym, the treadmill broke. The sign on it out of order, and I'm sitting there. I'm walking by the thing, and I'm going, man, I wish this thing wasn't broke. I paid like $8,000 for it, and it was funny because there were two things going on. And on the one hand, I was thinking about training this young guy for sprinting, trying to get him to understand the concepts of sprinting, and at the same time, I had this broken treadmill. And that's when the magic, or the first part of the magic happened. It was like I got hit with a fist right in the chest, and I basically almost fell backwards because I had this vision of exactly what the HiTrainer was, and it came in a flash, as if the whole thing had revealed itself to me in one shot. I went running behind a desk, took a piece of paper out, and started sketching this, and there were things that I put in it. There were a resistance system that was in it. There was a virtual reality thing. There's things I knew nothing about that instantly came to mind in that second. It was quite extraordinary. It was. I always tell people it was as if God put this in front of me. That's how incredible it was. So I drew the whole thing down, and it's actually quite funny how remarkable the end product ended up looking like it. But like I said, I had virtual reality, and I had these collapsing arm pads, all this stuff. And so I finished drawing. And the strange thing, I still have a copy of that it's in my car. Every once in a while I'll take a look at it. It's got the date and the whole thing, so it's kind of fascinating to have that the moment of conception when it happened. And then what happened is I went over to the treadmill and unplugged it, and I got on it, and I did a 10-second sprint. And the moment I finished that sprint, I got off it. I went, oh my goodness, I found it. And what I mean by that is, when I was a kid playing football in Montreal, one of fashions that I trained, in order to increase speed, there was a apple orchard in front of our house, and it went up this sharp grade, probably about a 15% grade, 18% grade, something like that. And so I would do wind sprints up this hill. And once that became easier to do, then I would tie a toboggan to me and put a grain bag in the toboggan and pull that up the hill, 40, 50 yards up the hill. And the feeling I had when I got off the HiTrainer, what was to be the HiTrainer, was exactly the same feeling I would have after doing 6 or 8 wind sprints. And I knew it. I recognized it immediately, because the funny thing about this story, once again, this is a convoluted story, but the strange part about it was that when I was a kid, my dad had given me a subscription to Sports Illustrated magazine, and the minute I saw Walter Payton play football, I fell in love with with the guy, and I you know, everything he did, I would try to emulate. I thought he was just an incredible football player. And so, and he had a thing. What part of his training was called Walter Payton's Hill, and he would do wind sprints like I would, but probably a sharper hill than I had. But me adding the toboggan added that extra level of resistance. Now once again, it's a convoluted story. Sorry to do this to you, but when the first team I approached once the HiTrainer was finished was the Montreal Alouettes, and the starting running back for the Alouettes that year was Walter Payton's son, Jerry. And so I'd written a story called Walter Payton's Hill, and how the HiTrainer gave you the same elements that Walter Payton's Hill did. And when the head coach looked at me, he said, "You know that his son plays for us." He says, "Can I give him a copy of this?" I said, "Sure." And the other weird um, component of this is that the first team I worked with in the NFL was the Chicago Bears, and I remember walking in and seeing his picture up in the lobby, him and Butkus and Gale Sayers, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty special. Anyway, that's kind of towards the end of the story. But so once I had this concept, and I think what makes me fortunate as an inventor is that I have enough machining and welding skills, just enough to make me dangerous in the sense that I can actually put things together, and build them. So I went to Donald Bearville's shop, asked him if he'd help me. He did. He was such a wonderful man. And I stayed in his shop for a week, and I built the original prototype. And so I started training uh, my clients on the HiTrainer with the original HiTrainer, which had no electronics on it. I think I had a counter on it. That was all I had. It was like a bike counter, so I could get revolutions. That was about it. So I could get a number, which was important. But I started creating these 3-minute protocols, 10-second sprints, 10 seconds off. And the phenomenal thing was I started seeing incredible results from my clients, like incredible weight loss and incredible performance increases and stuff like that. And I couldn't quite understand. And I started using it on myself also. And I started seeing that things that I used to find hard now became relatively very easy. And so once again, the other blessing that came is that I had a friend, Peter Turner, who was a good friend of mine and a lawyer. And one day I was talking to him about what I was seeing with the HiTrainer, and he says, "Brian," he says, "I just saw an interview with this guy at McMaster University. I think his name was Dr. Gabala, and he was saying some of the same stuff that you're saying." He says, "You should try to get a hold of him." Well, sure enough, being innocent and I guess innocent and raw, you know, never thought anything about it. I got a